Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest version of Tales from Outer Space, where I take an HFY story from somewhere around the internet and read it aloud for your enjoyment. All the relevant links are down below. Like, subscribe, and all that YouTube comf to help this video and channel grow. Anyways, as always, I hope that you enjoy. I would just like to thank the following Tier 5 patrons and channel members for supporting the channel: FallenAngel, BuzzKillington, Datamagnet, and Bob the Dragon. Thank you again. And now, on to the story. Story number 1. Prey Animals, written by Destroyertron MK8. Show your belly, soft paw. The viril's roar echoed through the promenade. Milner's translator helpfully conveyed the meaning. Show you have earned deference, and I might decide not to teach you fear. Milner hustled through the crowd, but stopped when he saw his partner moseying forward at a much slower pace. Kelso had not even bothered to draw her stun whip. Shouldn't we hurry? Milner asked. The viril's gonna attack. No need, Kelso burbled. I've been waiting for this. I'm surprised it took so long. Milner's eye stalk swiveled towards the gap in the crowd. He could see the viril now, a male specimen, large. Its top set of arms were long, heavy with muscle, and spread wide in intimidation gesture. Its smaller arms were bent in front of it, ready to defend. Its feet and all 4 of its hands were tipped with curved, wicked claws. Its fangs were bared, and its 3 eyes glared at the 2-armed biped. A human. It was as Milner feared. The virils hated humans. They considered them to be prey animals, and the refusal of a prey animal to accept their dominance was an insult that they could not forgive. The virile Starfang Empire had gone to war over it, and their defeat at the hands of the Terran Federation had only stoked their hatred further. The virils growled another threat at the human. The human replied, but his voice did not carry far enough for Milner's translator to activate. Both creatures were unarmed. The only weapons allowed on the terminal station were those used by security. Not that he needs one, Milner thought. The virils were apex predators. Milner's stun whip spelt small and ineffectual at his tendrils. Should we not intervene, Kelso? He asked his partner. We've already had 2 human deaths this week. In both cases, the viril responsible had fled to the ship before security could reach them. Their claw leaders had been heavily fined for their deaths, but that was a poor consolation to the families of the victims. Nor did it act as a deterrent. The claw leaders had purred their pleasure as they paid. Just watch, rookie. Kelso's voice rippled with amusement. This is gonna be good. The viril leapt at the human, grasping with a large set of arms. His head shot forward, seeking to crush the man's head in his fangs. Instead of screaming and dying, the human swept an arm under the predator's top arm and made an oddly graceful twisting motion with his legs and torso. The viril was flung to the ground. Both combatants had moved so swiftly Milner barely had time to flinch. The viril let out a woof of air. The human took 2 steps towards it. As the creatures regained his feet and man made another oddly graceful turning motion. His leg flashed out in an arc, coming down and across the predator's face. A yell of pain. 4 sets of claws lashed out. The human parried to his side and twisted around the others, striking with his lower appendage a second time. His foot struck just below the viril's knee. A much louder yowl, and the creature fell. One leg useless, the creature scrabbled on the ground to reach for the man. The primate skipped back. The viril followed. The man's arm shot forward, pulling the attacker's arm straight and to the side. The man struck behind the joint with the bottom of his hand, and then there was a sickening crunch. As the viril screamed and spun, Kelso remarked, Humans are classified as prey animals. They have no claws or stingers or natural weapons. Their strength and speed are in the middle range for their size group. The human snapped another long arm. We all know how deadly an armed human is, but in places where they can't carry weapons, they are considered helpless. The human's foot arced down with a graceful force, shattering the shoulder joint of the third arm. The Virals have been taking advantage of this to seek revenge for their wounded pride. The Viral spun itself, lashing out with its remaining leg. What the Viral do not know is that this is a subset of humans that views physical violence as an art form. The human deftly avoided the claws, wrapped himself around the appendage, and wrenched, especially unarmed combat. They practice daily for hours on end, honing their violence the way musicians hone the skills of the quagga. They believe violence is an art. Molno's voice was barely a whisper. He watched as the human destroyed another joint on the helpless killing machine. He had never seen such brutality. Not just the violence, Kalser explained. They see the preparation for violence as a path to physical fitness and spiritual growth. They love to compete amongst themselves, and they especially relish in fighting other species. Those classed as apex predators are a favorite opponent. The humans consider them the ultimate test of skill. The Viral was howling, crying. He was incapable of fighting back. The human moved along the broken limbs, breaking each remaining joint with methodical precision. Milnil stood forward, gripping his stun whip, but Kalsa stopped him. "Wait," she said. "The human will tell us when it is time." "He'll kill him," Milnil protested. "He won't," she reassured him. "If he wanted him dead, he'd have done it already." They watched as the human finished breaking every joint in the Viral's limbs. Milnil wanted to flee, to look away, but he did not. Kalsor stood impassively, and he did not want to disappoint his partner. "Why are we not briefed on these humans?" Milnil asked. "If they are so dangerous." Kalsor made an undulating motion, the Alokan equivalent to a shrug. "They don't usually cause problems. Martial artists enjoy competition, but they rarely pick fights. It is considered bad form." Milnil's eye stalks fluttered, signaling confusion. "They think it's rude," Kalsor explained. "Other martial artists will look down on them for it." When the last toe joint was shattered, the human sat, legs crossed, next to the Viral's head. His tone was matter-of-fact. "You see humans as soft, weak prey. This is not correct." The Viral growled. Before it could speak, the human plucked out one of its eyes. He waited for the beast to stop screaming, then calmly ate the eye in front of him. "We are predators, apex, as you would say. Your people have failed to learn this lesson in war, so now you must learn it in other ways. You'll bear a message to your people. You will be the message to your people. We are not your prey. If you continue to provoke us, you will become ours." The human raised his gaze to meet Kalsor's eye stalks. He stood. Kalsor stepped forward. Milnil moved to back her up, still holding a stun whip. "Viral," she said, "identify yourself, please." The Viral attempted to speak. He could not do so properly. His jaw had been dislocated. Milnil's translator compensated. "Shukathat, the artist of the red tooth. I want this human charged with assault." Kalsor turned to the human. "Human, identify yourself, please." The human placed his hands together and bent his torso. Milnil's translator interpreted the motion as a bow, a sign of respect. "Greetings, officers. I am Kazuma Sato of the Tenryl Kenji Dojo." Kalsor turned back to the Viral. "The only assault was committed by you, Sirikathat. We observed you attempting to kill Mr. Sato. He was within his rights to defend himself." "You saw and did not stop," Sirikath growled. Kalsor cut him off. "He was within his rights to kill you if you wanted." Council spoke firmly. This is the third murder attempt committed by your species on the station. If there is another, your people will be removed from the herd group. What? Shrukketh hissed. You wouldn't dare. The Burl Starfang Empire has trading rights by treaty. Burning us would be an act of war. It would, Calsor agreed. You must understand me. We will not ban you from trading at the station. We'll simply remove you from the herd group status. You'll no longer be under the protection of our security. Milner's translator interpreted what Brill's expression as confusion. Calsor leaned very close and stared Srukketh eyestalk to eye. We will let the humans hunt you. End of story. Story number 2. Humans are delicious. Written by Digital 332006. High Matriarch Hathen watched the humans run on the treadmills. A dozen of them run tirelessly, all to provide for a better meal. She walked up to a fine specimen, dragged a single claw down the human male's bare, naked chest, gathering some sweat off of its muscles, and licked it. The taste sent shivers down her spine, her whiskers twitching from the salty sweat. She signaled to one of the attendants, telling them that this one was ready. The treadmill slowly came to a crawl, and the attendant escorted the human out of the room, into a smaller one where the private customer would pay handsomely to savor the human. She couldn't believe that humans would volunteer for such a thing. She decided to make a business out of it, serving humans to her kind for large sums of money. Once a customer came and tasted a human, they always came back for more. Making sure that the customer would be happy with his meal, she walked over after a few minutes into the private booth. The human was laid down on a soft table as the Zentai, a large female predator of a species, was curled over the human, his face in its chest. Is everything to your satisfaction, miss? Heard the High Matriarch Hathen. Quite, thank you. The scent is divine, and the sweat is just perfectly salty, replied the customer, licking the sweat off the human with a coarse tongue. What about you, darling? She asked the human. Oh yeah, this is great. The human petted the Zentai with its hands as it licked the sweat off of him, running its fingers through the fur of the large feline. She smiled and left the room. Another satisfied customer and a human that'll come back for more. End of story. And that, my friends, concludes this video. I hope that you enjoyed, and if you do, please consider supporting the author, even by popping over and leaving a thumbs up or a nice comment, just to show your appreciation for the story. However, if you wish to support this channel, there are links down below which will help immensely. I will see you all in the next one, and until then, I hope that you have a fantastic day. Cheers.